Guys, when the moment for intimacy arrives, you need to be ready. Roman ready. Whether you've been in a relationship for years or you're just getting started, having the confidence that comes from preparation means you're free to enjoy the moment when the moment comes. Even though you are far from ordinary, the truth is ED is very common. With Roman, you get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free within 2 days. The whole process is straightforward, convenient, and discreet. Getting started, just as easy. Go to GetRoman.com/Chael today. If you're prescribed, you will get $15 off your first month of ED treatment. My official prediction, Jose Aldo versus Rob Font. Guys, I'm going Font. This is a hard one for me. This is a very hard one I try to never do this, right? I know you guys should. You try not to put emotion as any form of a decision-making process, no matter what the decision. You try to put emotion out of it. Every decision is emotional. Even the times when we try to rationalize and pretend that it's not. It is. I'm going against emotion on this. The way I am viewing Jose Aldo is flat out as an inspiration. I don't know that I have the ability or the rhetorical skills to hand another man a bigger compliment. But I find him inspiring. He makes me feel like I can do it. And I know that he does that with other people too. Not just because of the age, because of the change of weights, because he's a top guy, because he's coming off a huge win over Munoz, because he's going back into a main event. Once you slide down the card, you never go back. He beat that. He beat that. Historical precedence. He's back in a main event. Jose Aldo is this close to his goal. Which, by the way, I believe Jose's goal is to become the world champion. When he speaks about it, he says to fight for the world championship. I think he's misspeaking. I think he means to win it, but either way, he said to fight for it. He's this close, guys. It's inspiring. And Jose has incredible skills. The punching and the kick and the way he digs to the liver, steps outside, chops you in the leg, his takedown defense. If George St. Pierre was the best non-wrestler offensively, meaning he could go take people down, Jose Aldo is the best non-wrestler defensively. You can't take the sumbitch off his feet. So now you're in a striking match with a guy that we know is great. I only have to bring to you, I'm not sure you guys know how good Rob Font is. I'm not sure you do. Rob Font has gotten better. When Rob Font personalized this, but when he came on my radar, he's getting ready to fight Ricky Simón. I swear to you to this day, and I will stand by it, Ricky won that fight. He lost the decision. Either way, it built momentum for Rob, and it moved Rob to like a number 5 ranking. It was a big win. And then he went to 4. Now he's at 3 right now, but he's getting wins. He's getting him in co-main event spots. He's getting him in main event spots. And Rob he's like a snowball. And I really think it does go back to that Ricky fight. Had he lost that, maybe he'd be a little down in the dumps. He won that. He got a lot of attention, whether it was a little bit controversial or not, or very controversial. He won. And he used it as a springboard. And he is looking better, and he's looking better, and his hands are loosening up. He is throwing more punches now, a little bit straighter than they used to. Little bit more volume. They're landing with a little bit more force. They're doing a little bit more damage. If you can make little gains in this sport, oh my goodness. The difference between 1 and 3. The difference between 3 and 9. I mean, we are splitting hairs, and Rob is showing that he's getting better. Now, the lights are going to be very bright. Rob's going to be doing media. He can say whatever he wants about I'm over it and Jose's behind us. That's one of his heroes, whether he wants to admit it or not. You cannot fight at 155 pounds on down, be the age that Rob Font is, and have not looked up to Jose Aldo. It is not possible. How do you deal with that? That mental component is very relevant because Rob is going to have to deal with it. I predict for you successfully. But Rob will deserve credit for that because one thing that I am seeing with Rob, even if I want to tie it back to the decision that I don't agree with against Ricky Simón, it was a springboard. And so many guys will have something good happen to them and they'll rest. They'll have one good thing ever. People call it your 15 minutes of fame. The people that break down 15 minutes of fame in somebody's life don't look at the reasons why, which is something goes really well and you rest on it. I could tell you countless teammates, names that you would know, big names that you guys respect who had something good happen and they weren't in the gym as much. They got a little bit of fame, a little bit of money in their pocket. They had distractions. And their outcomes in their careers drastically changes. I could tell you I could tell you fewer stories, but just as beautiful of names, just impressive of guys who had one good thing happen to them, and boy, that was the motivation they needed. And I feel as though that's what's happening with Rob Font. But if you guys see that on Saturday, and Rob does get the best of Jose Aldo, he's going to get his hand raised, and you're going to think, okay, Rob's a better fighter. Then there'll be the other story that wants to take away from Rob while patting Jose and say, well, Jose was a little past his time. But the story won't get told quite correctly. I want to set this for you before we go in, because if Rob Font can physically get the best of Jose, right, that's incredible. Not to mention Rob's already ranked 3, not to mention he's a main event guy. I mean, that is going to matter. But if he can get over the mental battle of having to go there and get the best of one of his former heroes, it's a big deal. Because if you can do that, now you start opening the whole Pandora's box to what can't Rob deal with. A lot of guys, even the greats, can't deal with much. Everything's got to be... A lot of the greats, some of the most beautiful names you guys have heard, never took a fight on short notice. Never took a fight out of their weight class. Never took a fight with a replacement opponent. Everything had to be right. So if Rob can go in and deal with one of his former heroes, and he can do it on ESPN, and he can do it for 5 rounds, and he can get the best of him, you do have to wonder, what can't he deal with? What else could the sport present you? I used to play this game, guys. I get put in a new spot for each fight. I always wanted to be a mentally tough guy. That was important to me. I want to be a mentally tough guy. How do you do that? Like, what can I work on? What can I practice? And I would break down, okay, here's what I'm going into. I had to cut this much weight, and I only had this much time, and they changed the opponent, whatever it was. And I would realize, okay, this is one of the hardest spots I've ever been. If I can find a way, if I can go out and perform, performance not outcome, if I can perform well, I can deal with anything. Then I get my next fight, and there was a new bunch of problems. I go, okay, well, this is the one. This is the one. I had one sense of panic. I won't tell you the opponent was right before we walked through the curtain. Went down as one of my best performances ever. If I can pat myself on the back, I was at the curtain. I had left the locker room. I had my mouthpiece in. I had already done the hug that you guys see at the cage. I would do that in the back. And I would tell my whole team, this is it, not again. Next person that touches me, I'm going to destroy. I had already done all of that. I was at the curtain. And my opponent goes first. His music is playing. I hear the music die down. I know it's going to be... As soon as that music hits those speakers, that curtain pulls back. You're making that walk. I wanted to be anywhere else but there. And other times when I was in a tough spot mentally, I could address it. I would be in the hotel. I would be alone. I'd be getting my weight off. I'd be visualizing. It was always some kind of a situation where you could put time between it. Because that's one of the things that happens in a fight. It's time. Sure, I can get to where I want to be, and sure, I can do what I want to do. The dimension in fighting that nobody discusses and most people don't even see is there is you're battling time. We pretend that it's a question of who's better than who at a specific weight class under a specific rules. That's what we present it to the world as. But moreover is at a specific time. That's the dimension. It's not just width and distance and space and volume. You have another dimension known as time. So you got to be able to turn that on. And I only submit for you that Rob Font, leading into this fight, is dealing with some stuff that he's never going to admit to you guys. And he doesn't need to. Got to learn to fight your heroes. You got to learn to deal with these guys. So Kenny Florian once said, sometimes the student has to kill the master. Like there's a piece to this that you must overcome. It is a rite of passage. I'm just setting for you before this fight goes. It's the one that Rob's dealing with now. And it's a very tall order. And I don't know that Jose Aldo, and I'm going back to his fight with Pedro Munoz, I don't know that Aldo ever looked better than his fight with Munoz. As a matter of fact, Kenny Florian, who's a former opponent and foe of Jose Aldo, said after that fight, that was the best Jose we've ever seen. Nobody says that lost to a guy because it makes them look bad. Kenny still said it. Says the best Jose Aldo we've ever seen. And I saw the same thing. So Rob Font's got his handful. Rob Font is going to be tested. This is not as bright of lights for Jose Aldo. Not by a lot. You've been the champion of the world. At one point in his career, he had the all-time gate record as the night that he fought Conor McGregor. Had more people watching than he's ever had to deal with. That's when the lights are bright. That's when the pressure is on. That's not the situation for Jose. Jose is more likely to come out with his full skills and perform to his best of ability. He's more likely to do that than Rob. I'm taking an outsider here. Aldo versus Font. I'm putting the curse on Rob Font.